Good morning. We are at Wednesday of the 26th week in Ordinary Time. And this week I would like to speak about tomorrow's feast, which is the feast of the Archangels, St. Michael, St. Gabriel, and St. Raphael. Now, of course, what we know of these three archangels whom the Church has from ancient times looked upon as saints comes to us entirely from sacred scripture, the Old Testament and the New Testament. And besides what we know of these three archangels, I think it's good if we just recall who are the angels themselves. The angels are created spirits. They have no bodies, but like you and me, God has given them intellect and free will. But again, they are incorporeal, or they don't have a physical body as you and I do. But the angels are literally God's messengers to creation. And most familiarly, of course, is the Archangel St. Gabriel. St. Gabriel is the one who brought that good news to St. Elizabeth and St. Zechariah, that even in their old ages, having prayed very faithfully and for so long to be blessed with a child, which they had not been, God had answered their prayers, and they would conceive and have a child. And of course, we know the reaction of St. Zechariah to that, and how in his disbelief, almost like I just can't believe this to be true sort of thing, God made him mute until the time when their child, St. John the Baptist, was born, and it was time for them to name the child. Of course, Gabriel gave to Zechariah the name he was to call this child, but St. Gabriel is God's messenger, and pardon me, just as he appeared to Zechariah in the temple and to St. Elizabeth, his wife, so then Gabriel comes to our Blessed Lady and announces to her that news of great joy, that from all the women of all human history, God has chosen her to be the mother of his Son. And of course, we know how that all worked out, again from St. Luke's Gospel. But also, St. Michael is the defender of God and the defender of heaven and earth, and we are introduced to him in the book of Revelations, where, as you know, Lucifer, who was an archangel, rebelled against God, and keeping in mind angels have intellect and free will, and Lucifer decided he would not serve God. And so Michael defends God and the heavenly hosts and drives Lucifer out of heaven and into hell. And from that description in the book of Revelation, St. Michael has always been looked upon not only as a saint, but as the patron of those who defend others, such as the police. And he's a very popular saint. And also, when we encounter St. Raphael, Raphael we meet in the Old Testament book of Tobit. And he is the one who takes the young Tobias on this journey to find his wife. And he does, and he protects him throughout. And upon returning home, of course, we know that Tobias's father had been blinded, and so Raphael has young Tobias catch a fish, and from the fish he takes out the gall of the fish and has Tobias spread it on his father's eyes, and his sight is returned. And so St. Raphael has always been considered the patron saint of healthcare workers, specifically doctors and nurses. One of the other features of the angels, at least as the ones we know by name, is that their names really are a reference to God who created them. The name Michael means he who is like God. And St. Raphael's name means God heals or God cures. And St. Gabriel's name means he who announces God's will. And so we can see in this Feast of the Archangels, and on October 2nd, we won't celebrate it this year because it falls on Sunday, but that's the Feast of the Guardian Angels. The Church is reminding us of how much God truly loves us and wants us, not just to fervently believe in and hope in Him and follow His will, but how much He wants us to be with Him, so much so that He sends us His messengers, His angels. He gives to each of us our own guardian angel to assist us in our daily life of doing good and avoiding temptation and sin. And so these two feasts are beautiful feasts, but tomorrow's feast, if possible, would be a day to attend Mass and thank God for this further sign of how much He loves us and how intimately He wants to be involved with your life and mine. And so may you enjoy the Feast of the Archangels and the coming days of this autumn season.